Hi, my name is Karin Beukel and I'm Associate Lecturer at Copenhagen Business School and an Assistant Professor at the University of Copenhagen. And I'm going to take you through this next lecture on value capturing in tight and weak appropriability regimes. The aim of this lecture is threefold. First, after completing this lecture, you will be able to analyze and subsequently evaluate and suggest how firms can position themselves to benefit from innovation. Secondly, you will be able to describe and explain the most common value capturing mechanisms, such as patents, industrial designs, trademarks, copyrights, complexity, complementary assets, lead time and trade secrets. And thirdly, you will be able to search publicly available databases on patents, trademarks and industrial design rights to help you assess the potential of a new innovation. But first, let me define the three central terms: value capturing, weak appropriability and tight appropriability. By value capturing, we mean the profits that the innovator can generate by placing a new innovation on the market. As this pie chart shows, in theory we talk about value capturing by four main stakeholders: the customers, the suppliers, the imitators, meaning firms that imitate the innovation, and the innovator. This session is about how to increase the size of the pie for the innovator. A weak appropriability regime means a technology that is almost impossible to protect by intellectual property rights. A tight appropriability regime means a technology that is relatively easy to protect by intellectual property rights. But now let's begin. Introducing new innovations to the market is risky, and not everyone becomes the new Bill Gates. But how difficult is it really to capture value from innovation? Let's assume that one patent application equals one technical innovation. What do you then think the relationship is between patents applied for and value? Here we have a graph with the monetary value on the x-axis and share of patents on the y-axis. As you can see, the majority of patents have a value between 30,000 euro and 1 million euro. Whereas only very few technological innovations, actually below 10%, have a value above 30 million euro. Given that many technical innovations are very expensive to invent, and applying for a patent family alone easily can cost between 54,000 and 540,000 euro, the low monetary value reported by a majority of the inventors means that many of them probably do not make profit on their innovations. But placing your new technological innovation down here in between the very valuable new innovations is tough and requires the innovator, the firm, to consider how it can ensure it captures as much value as possible. This is the reason why it is important to know the mechanisms that can secure value for the innovator. There are many mechanisms that influence whether a firm is capable of capturing value from innovation. I will not be able to cover all such mechanisms in this lecture, but I will present an overview and go through the most important ones. The tools that organizations use to capture value from technological innovation can be divided into three themes: strategic tools, institutional tools, and non-market tools. The most important strategic tools are lead time, complexity, complementary assets, and secrecy. Other strategic tools could be increasing cost of copying, deploying outdated intellectual property rights, and freedom to operate. Institutional tools are, for example, patents, trademarks, industrial designs, copyright, but could also be markets for selling, licensing, collaborating, and litigation. Non-market tools are, for example, patent pools, common standard organizations, cooperation with government, and boosting market surveillance. I will not go into these tools here, but they can also be important for capturing value. Let us focus on strategic and institutional tools. What do these different categories really mean? And how should firms think of them as instruments for value capturing? Let me explain this. First, let me define what is meant by lead time. Lead time is whether the inventor introducing the new innovation is a market pioneer. Lead time can create competitive advantages for firms, and lead time has been shown to have an impact on how firms perform. In general, market pioneers who survive have a higher average market share than later entrants. Second entrants may catch up, but third, fourth entrants and subsequent entrants stay behind the pioneer. So by moving first, market pioneers often develop sustainable market share advantages. Let's just think about lead time and the startup DigiRehab that was introduced in the prior lectures. Will lead time matter for DigiRehab? Yes, it might. Let us just consider the cost of switching from DigiRehab solution to the competing iCure solution. If the municipality has already invested in training their healthcare personnel in using DigiRehab's solutions, will the municipality then change to another provider, one of DigiRehab's competitors? Probably not. So in a market where switching costs are high, lead time is even more important. And that can be the case for intellectual healthcare products. Complexity can have two meanings. First, depth, which relates to the cognitive difficulty of handling a matter. And secondly, breadth, which means the range of areas or domains that have to be investigated to deal with a matter. The more complex a product is, the harder it is to imitate. And as a result, the innovator will be more likely to capture a larger slice of the pie than an imitator. Let's again refer to DigiRehab as an example. The complexity of the knowledge applied in the product is both deep and broad, and therefore hard to imitate. With a deep knowledge of physiotherapy combined with knowledge of how to track and assess physical and functional performance of the elderly, and combined with videoed exercises linked to an elderly person's particular challenge, the DigiRehab technology is arguably unique. Now, let's turn to complementary assets. Complementary assets are the assets, infrastructure, or capabilities needed to support the commercialization of a technological innovation, such as marketing, manufacturing, complementary technologies, distribution, and services. Complementary assets are often needed to capture value from innovation. For example, RC Cola was the first firm to commercialize both Diet Cola and cola in a can. However, Coca-Cola and Pepsi imitated this and beat RC Cola to the market. Coca-Cola and Pepsi had superior marketing capabilities and brand name recognition. Biotech firms also often lack complementary assets, but they are capable of coming up with new inventions. However, to commercialize their inventions, they form alliances with large pharmaceutical firms, as these incumbent firms have the assets such as manufacturing capabilities, clinical trial capabilities, marketing channels, brand name, and so on that are needed to market a new drug or a drug-related product. For a startup company based on a new technological innovation, ensuring access to such complementary assets through strategic alliances might be essential to success. Secrecy is about a formula, practice, process, design, instrument, pattern, or compilation of information which is not generally known or reasonably ascertainable, by which a firm can obtain an economic advantage over competitors or customers. Secrecy is widely used. In many industries, secrecy is considered the most important appropriability method. The most common examples are recipes such as Coca-Cola, Big Mac special sauce recipe, Mr. Fields chocolate chip cookie. But trade secrets can also be manufacturing methods or products where the chemical structure is unknown, such as WD-40, or antiseptic liquids such as Listerine. But what is of course important when considering if an invention should be kept secret is whether the invention can be observed in the final product. If it can't be observed, then secrecy is not the way forward. There are different important aspects that should be kept in mind when using secrecy. They are: information must be unknown to the public. The product must have potential economic benefits to the firm, and steps must be taken to keep the information secret before any infringement takes place. For example, by keeping the knowledge secure, only revealing it to selected employees, and to have it identified in contracts such as non-disclosure agreements or employee contracts. So these were the most important strategic tools that innovators can use to capture value from technological innovation. We have touched upon the four main parts: secrecy as just considered, complexity and complementary assets, and lead time. In the next part of the lecture, I'm going to introduce you to the institutional tools. That is the different types of intellectual property rights that the innovator should be aware of.